Hi, everyone. I know you will be absolutely thrilled to see the wonderful Dr. David Clements again. We all love him to bits. I think I've had five conversations with David, and he just always has amazing information to share. And I know very little about where we're going this time, so it's going to be equally exciting for me to hear it. But just for those of you who don't know David's background, I think a lot of you are very familiar with his work now. He was a theoretical physicist specializing in string theory, two advanced degrees from our esteemed universities in the UK. Then he started to remote view very successfully, and his life turned around with Galactic teams connecting with him, and his life really turned around 180 degrees. So he builds amazing regenerative technology to help humanity navigate this period, but he also has a wonderful Patreon group you can join as a free member. He has beautiful live streams and meditations, which I know have been life changing for many of you. So I put the links for all of his information below and the links for all of the previous conversations we've had. And David, I just want to say you really are emerging as one of our key spiritual leaders right now. And I know you probably don't want that. Don't go looking for leadership, but it's kind of falling in your lap because you operate with your energy rings just clear as a bell with such a pure heart, such genuine authentic love that you share with every word you speak. So yeah, and I'm excited. This is going to be a bit of whitewater rafting, I think, as we go into this. So shall we start with Three Eye Atlas? Because that sounds like it's the beginning point for what you want to share, which is actually just the beginning of a much bigger story that you're sharing with us today.
Yeah, firstly, thank you so much for again. I always love these interviews with you, and the chance to chat is really wonderful. It's great, and the before and after chats I really love as well. And I can't really wait to meet you in person as well, which I hope is going to take place soon. But we'll see how the winds carry that one. But yeah, and also just a quick message as well. You mentioned about the leadership aspect, and the way I see it is that I always feel that my inner connection and inner bridging is a big thing for me. It's the main thing, and for me, the greatest joy is seeing other people do that as well. And I love to see people awaken and step into their own roles of their self-determination, their self-authorship of their life. So that's kind of the way I see it. So yeah, I do kind of recoil when people sort of talk about me being a leader because I don't see it that way. Even though I appreciate the, the kindness that you're speaking with. But yeah, it's very much about that. I delight in seeing people emerge from, perhaps deep pockets of feeling like they don't have much to offer in it, because we all do, everybody does. The source intelligence within us is profound, and no one is an exception to that. So I just wanted to, kind of just offer that up just for the beginning. But yeah, so to come to your question, so I was talking with a friend of mine, and they were asking about Three Eye Atlas, and they were sort of curious about what my teams and my higher self were thinking. So to start off with the question, I said, okay, so my higher self and my teams, what say you, and they were sort of starting off by saying, well, there are actually several other objects like that in and around the solar system right now. And that's just one that, people are focusing on right now. But then it's like, sort of a pan of the camera. They sort of took my view from that and showed me something else. And so the conversation took a bit of a U-turn. And I said, okay, so as it started to settle in, what they were showing me was something very, very profound is happening with the entire solar system, all the planets within the solar system, the star and the core of our planet. Now, what they showed me is that there were these enormous vessels, which the Arcturians are involved. There are other very advanced races are involved as well. And just very briefly, as we spoke in the pre-talk, is that I asked, well, how big, just out of curiosity, how big are these vessels? And they said they're 1/80th the size of the moon, roughly speaking, which is enormous, in of itself. So these, I didn't get any information about how many of these, but I got a feeling quite a few of these are placed in, very particular ways around the solar system and within. And then they said what's happening is these vessels are transmitting conduits of non-material energetics, so not, matter-based, towards the sun. And there was something very, very, I mean, the energetic science behind this, I'm still learning myself. This is very, very lofty stuff, but they were giving me sort of nutshell ideas of what was going on. So there were these streams going into to the sun, and they were both regulating or modulating, however you wish to say it, and sort of getting and preparing the sun ready for this sort of ignition. And the ignition, my feeling is going to be this amazing emanation of this new energetic that humanity is being prepared for and ready to stabilize. Now, they did say that.
Is that the solar flash that several people have been talking about? Do you see that as what's called the solar flash?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. A lot of people have talked about that as being this massive, giant CME. It's just going to go boom and, sort of fly all over the place. I don't see it like that. I don't see that happening like that. No, there is a massive energetic that's going to happen, but the way my teams have described it, it's a non-material thing. They did say that there were going to be some CMEs that would come off, or coronal mass ejections, or ejections of charged plasmas and so forth. That come from the sun. But more importantly, it was the actual non-material energetics, this multidimensional energy emission that was going to take place, which was the profound aspect of it. Now, they did say that the CMEs, the matter that does get ejected, was going to carry a lot of high energy codes, which will spread and do its thing in a more physical way. But they're saying the more prominent emission is this sort of, how to describe it. The way I see it, it's like this amazing emanation, non-material emanation, that's literally going to encompass and go through the solar system. And so this is what they were doing, but simultaneously to this, and I'll unpack this in a way, and I'm sure we'll have lots of fun with like nitpicking it like afterwards. But I also had a series of meetings with an inner Earth group. Now, this group is very deep in the earth, and they described a little bit about their history. They said they used to be surface dwellers about 400,000 years ago. And at that point, some of them chose to leave and explore elsewhere, and some of them decided to go further into the earth. And they said over a period of time, they were aware of this emanation within the core of the earth. And some of them decided they wanted to get closer and be closer to that emanation. And so several different levels of their civilization started going down and down deeper and closer. And the way they described it is that you have to be more and more evolved to get closer and closer to the center of the earth. Because to be able to handle that level of energy, you have to be an evolved soul, an evolved being to do it. And they did say some of their race decided to stay at different levels for different reasons, because they wanted to experience different things. But this particular group were very close to the core. And what they showed me was this incredibly beautiful, all I can describe it is like a star at the center of the earth. I can't give too much detail because the whole experience of it is very difficult to describe in words. But yeah, these are very, very evolved beings. I met with a male representative and a female representative. The male representative was very, very clear and very incredible focus. And the female was very gentle, incredibly powerful emanation of light from her. And they seem to be, the closest word I can say was sort of, Guardians doesn't really, really truly capture, the energy of what I felt. But that's the closest word that I can offer at this time. But they were more sort of caretakers, I guess you could say, more than guardians. They were there to evolve and caretake, around that area. And what they were showing me was the Earth is also getting ready with this ignition from this energy from the center, and it's moving towards the surface. And that it had already happened to a certain degree, and the surface population were being prepared for this acclimation, this new energy that was coming forward. So when you couple that with what my Arcturian and other teams were showing me, they're saying this is all part of the same thing. What's happening is that this entire solar system is being prepared to raise up and transform into a new sort of, um, how could you say, a new paradigm of being a solar system. And they spoke before about this bubble that was going to go up around the solar system that had already started. Well, I feel that that's what they're doing. It's like a bubble around the solar system, and the interior was being transformed in an immaculate way. And it was being raised up in a way that sort of makes it that I don't know any time frames, but in my feeling is in the near future, only beings of a certain minimum energy, can be here because of how things are working. So it seems like it's a big house clearing operation, so to speak, and preparation and transformation that's being unfolded here. So yeah, this is enormous. And so that ignition within the core of the Earth and the sun are correlated, and it's this whole thing that's together. So it's one and the same. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of information I'm sure you have lots of questions about. So I'll leave that there for the moment and let you have a go.
Yeah, two questions, David. One is, will that sort of expansion from the inner core of the Earth cause more seismic activity? That's one
Hmm.
question. And also, last night on the live stream, you were
Hmm.
talking about this quantum leap in consciousness that
Yes,
kind of goes
yes,
up vertically. So,
yes.
two questions at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Let's start with the last one first then. So, yeah, this whole thing, whole paradigm is to acclimate humanity to a higher energetic condition. And so that will necessitate old stuff coming out in a way. And I believe that's very much what's happening now. There's been a real uptick in people who have been experiencing, sort of just down states or being feeling rather glum or grim, as we spoke about before. And there's more of a message I want to share on that a little bit later. But essentially, this acclimation is pushing out everything that has a lower resonance to it because it can't be present in this new era that we're going into. And so that's something I want to, say to people, that because we've had a load of questions and emails from people talking about that. And I know generally speaking, you can see it around, people are feeling like this, something is really down, but it's not, it's very up. But it is bringing up within them is what it's turfing out and getting rid of. And that's an important thing to understand. This stuff that's coming out, it's not, oh my goodness, the sky is falling. It's no, something's very right. It's coming out to leave, to make space for what's coming next. Definitely. And so your first question, sorry, could you remind me of your first question?
Whether there'll be increased seismic activity.
Ah, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, so my teams, do you have anything you'd like to share on this one? Yeah, they're saying there is going to be a sort of measured seismic activity. Not all of it is to do with, shifts and shakeups of the energy moving. There are other operations going on as well. But essentially, what they're saying is the Earth is going through a purging process as well. And so, exactly in a mirror way that humanity is going, the Earth has been, because of humanity's experience and all the things that we've been through, there's many layers of stored old energetics there that have been lingering and hiding away for millennia upon millennia that need to come out and go, and they will. And so, this is the breaking down and shake up and purging of that stuff as well. And they're just saying, pay attention to your intuition, much of this is being modulated, they're saying. So, as they said before, many of the sort of predictions of all sorts of things going, very off the cliff is not going to happen like that. It's, they're smiling. They're saying they do smile at humanity's, mean to dramatize things quite a lot. Yeah, it's they're saying, but there will be some shaking and shifting in places, and we've already seen that, they're saying, and that's going to continue for a little bit. in different areas. But they're saying in some places where, there will be sort of outbursts of things like volcanic activity, those kind of things. They're just saying, just relax and pay attention to your intuition because you'll be guided. So if your teams want you to move away for a period, then you'll be guided to do that. So, but yeah, they're saying there really isn't anything to worry about. They're saying they are aware of a lot of sort of doom and gloom scenarios that, people are giving out. They're saying, please pay attention to your heart center. You will know the truth from there. And they're saying everything is well in hand, and the feeling I'm getting, that the sense of awe and size and scale and magnificence of what's taking place here. Even if you can, just take, for example, what they were showing about the vessels beaming these energies in, it is colossal. These beings know what they're doing, and this whole process is in hand. And they're just saying, just be in joy, allow the process, don't fight. Don't fight this stuff, just allow this stuff to come out, and it will leave very quickly. And they're saying that's another difficulty that they see a lot of humanity engaging in, being overly focused on what's happening outside, going, oh my God, the sky is falling, and then contracting, and then that prevents the easy purging and release of what needs to come forward. So they're saying it unnecessarily makes things more difficult than it has to be. So they're saying, just remember that, just if you find yourself being out of playfulness, out of lightheartedness, bring yourself back. And they're saying if it just means watching, I mean, this is just me just watching funny dog cat videos on YouTube or something, or whatever it takes to lighten your mood, just lighten your mood. It really is, everything is in hand.
Yeah, because everything is a frequency match, isn't it? What we broadcast,
Yes,
we attract back.
exactly. Yes, yeah.
So in a previous conversation, David, you'd mentioned that I think your words were something like the tip of the first wave of this shift of consciousness was going to happen at the beginning of December. Well, that's next
Yes,
week.
yes, yes, yes.
The axis is at its closest point to the Earth on the 19th of December. I mean, these are fragments of time now. I mean, we are
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely on the precipice, it seems.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yeah.
looking at next year because I feel it's going to be a much more vigorous, exhilarating, fast moving year with kind of jumps, leaps. It's going to be much more exhilarating and exciting, but
Yes.
it's coming in waves and peaks through the year.
Mm.
Is that how you are feeling the energy from your information?
Yeah, so the way that it's been shown to me is very similar. It's these waves are part and parcel with this whole thing. And I feel that what they've done is they gave me a little bit of information about the waves first and then about this huge bubble, this energetic bubble, which I can only describe in a words, and words don't really do it justice, is a quantum bubble. It's some kind of field that is being put up. I mean, these beings, scale doesn't really mean anything to them. We think, oh my goodness, the whole solar system. To them, that's sort of bread and butter, kind of thing. So that's going up and has been up for a little bit now. And then they talked about the waves coming in. Now, what they described as the waves is what I felt was it wasn't sort of coming in from any place. It was emanating from the very fabric of the spatial system within the solar system itself. See, in mainstream physics thinks of space as sort of like in general relativistic terms as being just some sort of geometry which can be bent or flexed and everything to produce gravitational effects and so forth. I don't really want to go into that too much, but essentially that the way that they've described space to us, we don't fully understand what space is. Space is a very, very profound concept, and there's so much more to learn about it. And what seems to be happening with these transformations going on is that the very fabric of space itself is emitting energies. And these energy waves are coming from the very, like I said, the very environment of space itself as well. So it's appearing. And so, yeah, they're saying that the first batch of these waves is going to kick off early December, and I'm getting the feeling around the 4th of December.
Full moon, very important full moon.
Oh, it is. Ah, interesting. Okay, yeah, so that's what just popped up to me then. It's about the 4th of December. So, yeah, that's interesting. So that is what is going to happen, and they're saying it's all part of this major shift And they're saying this is a really big one. And they don't want to, they're saying they don't want to cause any unsettlement. It's not like, oh my God, what's happening? This is tremendously positive, they're saying. And this is a real massive shift. They're saying if you imagine a graph of humanity's evolution doing this, well, you're about to do this, in a big way. And it's really, really big. And they're saying there will be acclimation periods. So when you described, these succession of, impulses, it's very similar to what's going to happen. There'll be this initial surge, settle, integrate, balance, surge again, integrate, balance, settle, and so on. And they'll just keep going like this. And my feeling is there is this interrelationship. They watch humanity's consciousness, they watch humanity's response. So if it seems like everyone's doing great, the next wave will come a little bit quicker. If everyone's sort of having a little bit of difficulty, they'll come in and assist, and they'll help stabilize. And then when that's good, they'll bring the next one. So there is this interrelation. So it's not like everyone's just being kick-forced through, whatever comes. There is very much a sort of dance, if you like, between humanity, the multidimensional aspect of this, the source intelligence that's behind all of this. It's a beautiful dance. It really is.
Wow. So, it's so interesting. I don't know if you've actually met Kelly Kolodny yet, David, but I know you are going to on the 5th. Beautiful, wonderful lady who does just exquisite channeling of Archangel Raphael. And Archangel Raphael has been extremely clear, consistent, and persistent on talking about the Capricorn solstice, which is
Ah.
the 21st of December, that a new galactic consciousness is going to be birthed that day. Well, you've got the Three-Eye Atlas at its closest point to the Earth on the 19th, the new moon on the galactic center on the 20th, and you've got the Capricorn solstice on the 21st. So that is one cracking 3-day window. Are you sensing or getting information from your team about anything around the solstice?
They're saying, yeah, there are particular energies that will come around then, but they seem to be more focused on the overall expansion of this as it goes forward.
Right.
They're saying as they see it, there's going to be a series of monumental shifts in consciousness, and they're saying they see it taking place in different pockets of humanity at different stages. So they're saying there is the group of sort of light workers that have been doing this for a while, have stabilized. They're going to make some very profound immediate shifts with this. But those who are it's almost like they're saying it's not like a hierarchy of as we might see it. It's more to do with, depending on where people are with their puzzle piece solving and their path trajectory of what they've come here to do. Depends on where their energy is right now. So it's not a reflection of anybody personally, they're saying. It's just what energy you happen to be sitting in right now, and what you've got to shift in order to, or what you've got to let go of. So they see it as like a series of groups that will make different jumps, but they will be simultaneous. But the ones that are more stable with higher energetics at the moment will sort of shift a bit more. That'll hold a more stable energetic around the earth to allow those that are still clearing their puzzle pieces to make an even greater shift behind, and so on and so on. So they're saying it's the way they do to us is what we'll be doing to sort of energy generations behind us, and so on. So they're saying this is beautiful family reaching out across, that's the way they see it. So they're saying that there's a lot of massive transitions that are going to happen. Some of it depends on humanity's reaction. So they're saying they can't give too much of an accurate picture right now, because it does depend on how people react and use their free will to. But they are saying they really do ask that people just enjoy this. They're saying they're very aware of humanity's need to have a lot of information about what's coming, but they're saying that in fact can get in your way if you cling to too much information. They're saying just trust and allow the unfolding, because the expression and expansion that is going to come through is going to be a little bit different for everyone, because this energy is going to radiate through, and it's going to go through your unique stuff and then start the unique clearing within each of us individually. And then there's going to be the collective that's going on, which they just described. So they're saying that this is actually going to be a profoundly joyful thing, but they're saying just be aware if stuff comes up, if you start feeling a bit sort of down or glum, it is a necessary moving out of the old. It's part of the necessity of what needs to take place. And as that stuff moves out, it makes space within the fields of your consciousness for the greater consciousness to come in and activate and stabilize properly. And they're saying that's really what's happening here. So they're saying that the person you spoke of was absolutely not wrong. There is going to be this major shift, but they see it in groups of people in particular times.
Right. So it isn't so much an amplification of a dimensional split.
Mm,
All of this energy is equally available to everyone. It's more a question of groups depending on their current frequency. And again, no judgment. It's physics,
exactly.
magnetic
Yes.
resonance. That
Yes.
groups are going up in waves rather than there being a dimensional split.
Yes, that's the way they see it. And it is smiling again. They're saying again, there have been, and they said it's very understandable that much of humanity, and this has happened to me before as well. You get some information, and it's very easy to overlay that with a particular, you may not even realize you're doing it, a particular belief system or narrative that, and then you steer the information in a particular way. And I got caught with myself doing that a few times, and my higher self said, "You see what you did there?" And I said, "Yeah, I got that wrong, didn't I?" And I said, "Well, what actually happened was that the stream of information that you asked for came through. Now, because you had hidden areas of energetics you weren't aware of, they were like a projector in a movie screen. The light came through, and then you filtered it through the film that you didn't realize you had, and then it projected the result you wanted to see on the screen." And they're saying that's one of the things that's quite difficult. And they're saying that's why they're sort of laughing and saying it's one of the things. There are so many fabulously different ideas about, for example, 3i Atlas, who it is, what it is, where it is, that kind of stuff. And they're saying it's not a they're saying they take it with a lovely sense of humor, because they find it very I get this sense from them that there's this very lovely view of humanity about how humanity does things, in a very loving kind of way. But they're saying one of the things to be just aware of, they're saying, is the art of being neutral about something and then asking a question is where you get the clearest information from. And so that's just something, as they're just saying, it's just a helpful suggestion. It's not. So that's another thing. And yeah, I've had that happen to me as well. So it is a thing that humanity is having to deal with as well. And and be playful with it. Don't chastise yourself if like something that you thought was going to happen didn't. It's like, oh, okay, so maybe I had something within me that was like changing the information a bit there, and go look at that. I think that's the best way to look at it. It's not about any particular one group has the best information or the wrong information. It's we're all working through clearing our perspectives and becoming very clear at doing this. So yeah, definitely. But I think it's the energy that I feel from my teams is very, very excited. They're really, really joyful about what's coming, and they have a delight about watching humanity move through this. And they're saying the assistance, and I would describe it as what I'm being shown as this hand of kindness that's coming forward from them. Because again, as they've talked about, generations of people in who are particularly energy states will reach back and help the ones behind and so on. They're saying it's not really behind, you're just those who have opened up a little bit more to the energy can then seem a little bit more clearly and help the ones behind. They will then open up and they will do the same behind. And they're saying this happens all the way through. They're saying even for them, they get reached down from those that are higher from them. It's the same thing. And it goes all the way back to source. It's just this beautiful family effect of, what we call higher beings, or beings that hold higher energy states, reaching back and helping those behind. They then raise up and they do the same, and so on and so on. And that's how it works. So yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. And going back to Three Eye Atlas, David, is it also that Three Eye Atlas, some people are talking about it seeding this new consciousness, and is that also true of the ships all around us? They have purpose in terms of helping to seed this new consciousness as well.
Okay, so my team is, what would you have to say with that question? They're saying it's actually a multi-layered effect. They're saying the object that you speak of is one of many, 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 many. It's a huge tapestry. It's like a canvas of many different colors, many different components to this giant canvas, and they're all coming together. But they're saying one of the effects of being aware of that is it is starting to open people's minds to bigger things, which is part of the opening up and seeding in of itself as well. They're saying a lot more information is going to come forward, but they're saying simultaneously with that is there is this expansion from within where people start to become aware of information spontaneously from within, rather than having to learn it by somebody saying it to them, or reading something, or watching something on the internet. This is absolutely happening right now, and they're saying the wake-up effect to the group of people that would appear to be still sleeping is having an enormous effect. It really is. It's really shaking. And they're saying that's the reason why there's so much, or so many groups of people acting up right now, because it feels to them as if their worldly views, their ideas about what is and what isn't is crumbling, and they're reacting out of fear. They don't know what to do. They're saying that will stabilize as they realize the sky is not falling. But it's a process that they just are going through. But they're saying yes, there is a. They're actually saying they would rephrase the word seeding. What they would say is there is an activating. So all this is to do with. They're bringing back that analogy. Remember when we started to speak before the recording? They're saying they'd like to walk people through this. So they're saying, imagine before going into this experiment, everything is beautiful. You feel full interconnectivity with all beings. Source energy is pervasive in everything. You can hear the music of source, the sound of source, whatever you want to call it. Everything is in harmony and beauty. Then an experiment comes along whereby, hey, here's a box. Now, if you get in that box, you're going to experience an illusion of separation. You're going to perceive everything as if all this harmony, interconnectivity, and balance is not there anymore. You're going to have the false perception that there is no source. You're going to have the false perception that you're alone. You're going to have the false perception that there is no interconnectivity with anyone around you. Now, when you go in there, the idea of the game is, can you then go inside, connect with that star inside you, that source emission, expand it, and by doing so, break this box and dissolve it. And by doing that, you will gain such a strength above and beyond what you had before. A little bit like a sort of spiritual, is probably the wrong word to use, but an assault course. You go through it, it feels really tough going through it, but when you get out the other side, you feel that much stronger. You feel that much more capable. And they're saying yes, that's an analogy, but it's they're saying that in a sense is part of what the experiment was about. But what's happened is that because of that experience, a lot of layers got created by people emotionally, such as lack of self-worth, which is the main thing, feeling like, oh my goodness, did I deserve this? A feeling of of shame that you may have done something wrong, which you haven't. And there's a whole myriad of different things which found what they call this inner fortress that people hold around them. And they're saying what's happening now is that these profound energies, amongst a myriad of things, that object included, are basically trying to bring that stuff out from the core and clear it away. But as it comes out, you get to feel it. And that explains why so many people right now are feeling glum, down, like extra disconnected, like, oh my God, I used to be really okay with things. I used to feel like I had a great connection, and God, where's it gone? There's a lot of people who are going through that now. And I feel like what they're saying is they're saying, please go gentle with yourselves. This is a very deep sort of final stage of this outpouring and purging that's going on. And it's a very necessary thing because you are being cleared of the very fortress that has fooled you into thinking you are rock solid stuck in this box, this game called apparency of separation from source, the apparency of isolation, the apparency of disconnection, none of which exist, but it's a game. It's a game to go in, evolve, have your spark come out and dissolve that from the inside out. And that's what we're doing. But for that stuff to come out, it has to come out. And you will feel it as it comes out. And it will create the sensation like the sky is falling, like you feel everything is down and, oh my goodness, everything's falling to pieces. It isn't. It really, really isn't. And they're saying just try to be as playful and joyful as possible and know this. If you feel down and glum, or if you feel you don't have connection, or you feel your connection that you perhaps once had with your higher self or your guides has suddenly dimmed or seems to be absent, just allow the process. It's very important to just easily and gracefully walk through this with as much joy as you can, knowing that it's going to pass because it is coming out of the way. That's very important. They're saying that's one of the most important messages they want to give right now.
Well, David, I'm so grateful for you sharing all of this because it feels like we have completely left the old tram tracks of how humanity
Oh, yes. Yeah,
round and round the hamster wheel. This feels like a total break
it
of
is.
humanity's existence, which is a kind of completely unique experience, which in part we as humanity have managed to raise our consciousness enough to meet these higher beings to enable this to happen. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do. And, my teams like that analogy. They're saying you have very much left the tracks. And that's another aspect of this that they're saying, imagine they're saying one of your old radios, and it's like when you're jumping between frequency bands now, but there's like a little bit of an in between where it feels like no man's land. Like it feels like, oh, the stability and the connectivity I felt before feel, oh my God, where's it gone? What's happening? But no, you're moving, you're being recalibrated to a different level. And there'll be series of recalibrations, they're saying, as you get towards this truly immense emanation that will come from the center of you and from your heart center. And they're saying, this transformation towards humanity living in heart intelligence is so profound. Just the excitement I feel from the guides and the teams that I hear is just, they're saying there isn't too much they can say about it in human language because it simply won't fit the quality of the energy coming through. There are really no words to describe. But they're saying if you can just trust, allow, and be in joy that this is the process that is unfolding. The sky is not falling, the sky is raising and expanding. But to do that, it's got to clear out all of the old stuff that's lingering in the sky. That's what's happening. And they're saying if you could just see what we see from our level, you would not be dismayed at all. You really wouldn't. Ooh, that's quite a ball of energy that came through there when they said that. And so, yes, it really is. So, and as a human being as well, living through these processes myself, and I would say to my fellow human, family, really, having been through many of these processes myself, I really get it and I really understand what it's like to go through these. But always after that fact, when you go through the assault course of the outpouring, and you come out the other side and the new light that emerges that takes the place of what has just left, you realize, I see, okay, I understand what that was for now. Didn't get it while I was in it. I felt frustrated, angry, abandoned, all those things that people are feeling right now. It's a part of the process because they're saying, imagine this is what happens. When this stuff purges out, it clouds your sensory perception. It floods it, it saturates it. So you feel like that is the only thing going on. It's not. It's like going into a white room where there's tons of people there. It's all whited out and you can't see anyone. But when, you dim the lights, suddenly you can see everyone. They never left. Light is probably the wrong analogy because that's the good stuff, but it's perhaps sound is better. You're in a room with a few friends, you're having a great time, and suddenly all this other stuff, all these other people pour in, shouting and hollering and causing a ruckus, that kind of thing. And I can't hear a word that are they still here? Where are my friends? And then suddenly, the crowd leaves, with this purging going on. Now the peace comes back. I can feel it now. Oh, actually, I can see my friends again. Now they're different. Everything has changed. The room has changed. A clearing has taken place. So that's really the way I see it, how things go.
And you really have said, David, as well, you're not someone given to hype. You've talked about humanity's future is magnificent. Humanity's going to skyrocket. You said last night on the live stream, humanity's future is ecstatic. So, these are beautiful words for us to look forward to. But I understand the issue. We're trying to define a future in a higher dimension with 3D language, because that's all.
Right, right,
That's all
yes.
we've got a reference point for. And it's not adequate, because I
Yes,
think as we move forwards, my sense is we'll need words much less often. We'll operate much less from the mind and more from the heart, in the
yes,
sense of feeling and intuition and resonance.
yes, yes,
And we'll it'll be much more telepathic. We'll lose the words. We'll lose all the baggage
yes.
we've carried in many lifetimes. So, what would you say the best advice for people right now, as well as keeping it light and joyful and playful, is also to develop a kind of heart coherence as far as you can, to drop into stillness, to become an anchor for all of these swirling energies around our universe, to become like a lightning rod almost, or an anchor or a stabilizer for all of these energies that are churning right now? Is that one of the most useful things we can do, and to help to navigate this period and to help the collective too?
Yes, so my teams, if you want to chime in on my higher self too, and source intelligence, if you'd like anything to say on that. So it's interesting because, I was about to say something about the non-structural aspect, and they're not giving me any words, they're just giving me a sensation. And okay, so now they're saying something. It's what they're saying is that you really touched on a very important point, and that is that humanity for a very long time has believed there is nothing beyond structure and matter. Physics itself is absolutely focused on the material. It's all material. It's atoms, molecules, yada, 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 all structural. And so humanity has been convinced that is all there is. They're saying that makes up such a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of reality. It's such a tiny point. But they're saying if you imagine focusing on your finger and you keep your focus there, and you keep focusing and you keep focusing, after a while, your periphery starts to focus on nothing but your finger, and you think your finger's all that exists until you bring your focus off and you realize the greater picture. And they're saying in an analogous way, that's kind of what's happened to humanity. We've been so focused in our daily lives on physicality, on structure, on, language, words, which are a structure in themselves. They're saying it has presented a foolery to humanity that, it's all about structure. All we have to do is figure out how the structural bits fit together, and then we've got it all figured. And I can feel them smiling, sort of laughing with joy. It's sort of, humanity, they're saying you're in for such a delightful surprise. And it's very important because they're saying this is part of the necessity of not knowing too much and letting go of the structural need to quantify and put things in place. They're saying by being in joy and just letting go, relaxing and trusting in yourself, you allow yourself the perspective to relax off of structure and come into that which is beyond structure. So they're saying that one of the most simple ways to do, as you mentioned, is to be playful, be joyful, really just let your inner joy, go for it, really do that. And they're saying, don't be afraid of what other people think, and just know if people react to you as if you're, what's happened with you? Why are you going so wild? It's literally their structure within them, those qualities reaching out and trying to clamp back down on them because the fear has come up. So just be aware of that, and don't let it disturb your joy. They're saying joy is something which is beyond any language to describe. It's a state of emission, it's a state of being, it's a state of flow, it's a state of grace. All in one, if they said, if you do want to give any kind of words to it, that's about as close as you can get. But the being in it, and just the love of life, the love of the mystery of life, the love of the great adventure of what it is to be in existence and to be conscious, to be creator, is in of itself just, a better expression of the quality of joy. And they're saying that is what you are moving into. All of the binds, the bounds, the structural paradigms, all of that stuff that has limited humanity, that's breaking away. And they're saying another aspect of this unfoldment with humanity is that so many people have identified with the structural confinements of their life and don't want to let them go, such as a job, a position, a house, or something, And they're saying that in order to take people into these new paradigms, those have to be gently dissolved away. It doesn't mean you're going to, be lost and be left without anything. No, you're moving into something that's new. It's truly freeing to you as a living being. So yeah, that's what they have to say about that.
It sounds like we are going to live much more from the light body,
Mm,
because you talked about lengthening of the telomeres,
yes.
and maybe that will obviously lead to greater longevity and better health, and that we're going to form soul tribes that have the same frequency magnetic resonance as we have. So we're going to be forming new groups of people, and that's going to happen very naturally. Would you share that, David?
Yeah, there will be natural, well, they're saying there'll be natural gravitations towards various people. Some of it's to do with lessening, some of it's to do with learning. But they're saying as you progress, you'll find that you'll become more akin to people who are of the same nature of a being as you. But they're saying the nature of your being also changes as well. There are those that you've had many lifetimes with, you feel familiar with, that you'll sort of gravitate towards. But they're saying, as a whole, what will happen is humanity is realizing the family of humanity. And even though you might have brothers and sisters that are a little bit more close to or have a little bit more similarity, as ultimately what's happening is that the human race is growing into the human family, which is very different from what we have now. And as an extension, they're saying you will grow into your galactic and intergalactic family as
Could be
well.
my next question. Yeah.
Yes, I had a feeling, yeah. And so they're saying this is the joy of what you're going through. And they're saying you're going through these nursery steps right now, and then you're going to grow. And then they're saying this is all part of the unfoldment where these beings can come forward and meet. They're saying, but there is an acclimation process to do first, because these beings that are going to come forward have very high energy. And so you need to be able to, comfortably stabilize in that energy before you get to, and I've been told that many times, when I have these sort of bilocation experiences, they're saying, I say, when can I come up and have like a proper meeting? And they say, well, when you're ready, you still need to stabilize a little bit more. And the beings that I meet are of so high in energy that I don't think it would be possible to meet them directly because the human body needs to stabilize much more deeply. Because even when I do a bilocation and I come back, stuff comes up because the high energy of it and it's an important part of the process. It does bring stuff up, and I have to go through that, release it, and then reach a little bit of a high level, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that would be the way I choose to say that humanity is. And if you recognize that one of the things that's kept people thinking that they are in their little sort of distinct sort of how could you say little enclaves of this group and that group and so forth, it's all part of the structure of separation and feeling safe, and those people are a threat to me, or that person's a threat, and so forth. Well, these are all just old paradigms that are breaking away, and you'll realize the truth of no, I always use this analogy like the hand. If this is source, and then suddenly as source moves at energy and starts to compress, it starts to move into these what appear to be individuated expressions of source. But we have this veil that's dissolving here, and we seem like we're all separate. But as this starts to drop away, you realize, oh no, we're not actually. We're all part of the same thing. And that's really what is happening the way I see it.
Presumably we have certain affinities with certain star races. Some of us might be more Sirian,
Yeah.
or Turian, or Palladian, so we'll naturally gravitate to those particular galactic families. I'm guessing. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, they're saying that's very true. They're expecting that to follow those lines, and they'll say, you'll find a lot of delight in also meeting races that you don't necessarily have such a kinship with, and learning so much from them in new experiences. They're saying you will never be bored in what's coming. Life every day is going to be an adventure and a delight, and they're saying that's how these races live. They don't experience life like we do. It is an adventure, just a beauty to be in existence. That it's such a delight, and that's where we're moving to, definitely.
Sounds like air travel may change quite a lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I sort of wondered that. I feel that so much is going to be brought to humanity that humanity's been waiting for, including that kind of thing that you mentioned about being able to travel, vast distances and meet other civilizations, and really get out there, for people who want to do that. And it's going to really become a possibility. I don't have a time frame of when, because I do believe that it's like I said before, there is a marriage between the energetics happening in the solar system, what's these transformations, and people's free choices as well. So it happens as fast or as slow as people, are willing to accept it. There is a slight caveat to that, which is there is a process moving forward, so that if souls really are resisting, and don't want to move, then it will start to move beyond that. So they'll just get another chance to go through their lessons in another way, and they'll get the chance to jump on the bandwagon in a different way. So, that is also an option as well. But what I would say to everyone, just relax and enjoy the ride, because it's really beautiful, and it's going to be tremendous when this all reaches an opening.
Yeah, it sounds so exciting, David. I know, you said a couple of times you can't give a time scale because linear time doesn't really exist. It's a construct.
Yes, yeah.
And that's, as an astrologer, I always get kind of slightly tied up in my underwear. My sense is the astrology is strongly suggesting, and my own intuition is suggesting that 2026 is kind of go time. It's a very different pace
Yes,
and
yes,
energy, certainly to the last
yes,
5 years. Well, for many years, it's a real uptick in quantum jumps in consciousness. That's my sense.
yes. Yeah, when I look at that, and I look at the potentialities there and the energies, I very much agree. I feel that 2026 is going to be a massive opening year. A lot of revelation, a lot of introspection, a lot of energy coming forward. And the way I see it is, that's going to be a time where those who are stable energetically and are living the bliss and joy that's coming will need to reach back to those who are perhaps feeling because there's a lot of people, like I said, who have entrenched themselves in paradigms of the old, even though they're trying to move forward and they don't yet realize that. Totally understandable, and it's expected and understood. But as that breaks down, it's going to feel like everything that they have known is breaking away. And it is breaking away because it's falsity, it's not real. But what's going to come in underneath that is something very beautiful and something that is not artificial, and you have to keep maintaining in order to keep the illusion going. It's not like that. And so that's the effect of, as the high dimensional beings reach back to us and help us, we will then get the mantle, and then we will then reach back to other people. They will then develop in the same way. They will then reach back and do the same. And then and as this threshold builds, suddenly it will become so easy for people just to open up. Because if you notice, if you want to give it a sort of linear timeline, back 2 decades ago, it felt like it was such a drudgery to go through this stuff. It was such hard work. It took so long to do it. And, it was really, it's like moving through molasses, it was so sticky and gooey. But now it's so much faster. And as, these pockets and waves produce these awakenings, it will go quicker and quicker and quicker. So those people who are perhaps a little bit earlier on in the puzzle piecing aspect, don't worry, because your process will be a lot faster and a lot easier than it was for people who were starting this 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It really will. So you're in probably a much more easier position than people who sort of incarnated a while back. So it is an amazing unfolding, and it's incredibly exciting. And I think that's the way to see it, not to get caught up in, yes, there are going to be revelations, and yes, there's going to be some information that will be unsettling to a lot of people, but just know that that's just the old leaving, and it has to be dissolved in the light. And to do that, it has to be shown to people. And that's all it is. Just let it be, let it go, let yourself expand and move forward.
It's just been so many gifts you've given us today, David. Would you feel happy to share any messages, any channeling from your team that may be helpful to close for us?
Sure, okay. So, my source self, my higher self, do you have any message and my Arcturian teams that you would like to share with the audience today? Greetings, beloved souls. This is the source intelligence, the same source intelligence that dwells within you. Much is coming forward, much of which you see now, and so much which is unseen, which will be pure delight, is coming forward. Dear ones, this is all part of the process. You are great and experienced souls, each and every one of you. There are no exceptions. You came here to this planet to be a part of this great and grand awakening and evolutionary process. And in doing so, you knew you would face challenges. You delighted in facing these challenges before you incarnated because you understood what was to unfold. And so you are encouraged to understand this as these last vestiges of what you would call dark energetics are purged and released from both your cells and the earth and the solar system as a whole. These are illusions, sweet ones. It is a game. And it is understood that at times it most certainly does not feel like a game to you. Be gentle and compassionate with yourselves. In future days, near days, it will be said, you will understand, you will feel the joy of this transformational process. It is close, sweet ones, very close. You will understand what it is to live in bliss. Many have spoken of the word of bliss, but what is it? This is something that you will experience. And when you are in that energy of bliss, you will look at these times and you will laugh with joy. You will laugh at the tremendous strides you have taken, the expansions you have undergone, and the immense evolution that you have brought to existence as a whole, not just to yourselves and this planet and this solar system. It's far bigger than that, sweet ones, far bigger. And so be in joy. The fruits of all your releases, all of the challenges that you have overcome, and just a few more that are just ahead of you. You will delight in these experiences from the perspective of the joy that you will be moving into. And remember, you are Source Love. You are the intelligence of Source Love. It is the same source intelligence that created every solar system, every galaxy, every universe, every level that you call multidimensionality. It's within you. You were there. You have been there for it all, sweet ones. And you ever shall be. Feel that immensity inside yourselves. And remember that powerful light. Should you feel in the waves of purging that come through you, that cause you to feel that that is not the case, it is just an illusion, sweet ones. It is just the release of false energetics that create the appearance of being truth. They are not. For that which is not truth dissolves in light. That which is truth endures. And you are truth, sweet ones, at your core. You are safe. You are profound. You are guided both internally and by your support teams. Everything is unfolding beautifully, and you are a magnificent part of this unfolding. And it is asked of you to remember this. And so it is.
Chakra was just sizzling.
Yeah, it's, I really feel that I was going to say anyway to people that, it's really important to remember that, to feel that light inside you, that truth, because you're not just some hapless, isolated human that's just bumbling through this. You are an extension of Source. This is where you are. You may be aware of this bit here, but you're right here. That's where you come from. And no matter what you're going through, although the sensation may make you feel like you are having, oh my God, that's all there is. It's just sadness, horrible, blah, blah, blah. It really isn't. That's the purging. That's the stuff coming out. But what's really in the core of you, that's real. That doesn't fade away. It doesn't pass away. That's always there. That's the truth of it. So in realities, artificial things can be constructed, but they can also be dissolved. They're transitory. That's what we're going through. This is transitory. It's not enduring. And love intelligence is the one thing that is always there. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, beautiful. This really has been an out of the park conversation, I think. You really have communicated the immensity of, this is not same old in any sense. This
No.
absolutely immense
It is.
quantum jump in consciousness, and we're really in the process now, and I'm just so grateful to you, David, and to everybody out there. I can't recommend David's work enough. He gives very freely, very generously. As I say, you can join his Patreon group for free. A lot of his live streams and meditations are for free, but really do support him in his work. You'll not only benefit immensely, it could be, for many people, it's life changing, but also support him because he gives so much to us, and he is helping us to unravel the map or navigate the map of where humanity is headed. And just thank you so much, David, for your time and your brilliant sharing today. We're just so grateful.
Oh, you're very welcome. And, what I would say to everyone is, I always say to people, another thing to add is, please don't look at me as if I'm someone that you go to as, what I share is to show you. And I remember, there was a phrase that Yeshua used. He said, all of you can do this and more. That's very important. If anyone, I say to people, if you think what I'm doing is great, you can do that too. There's nothing, we're from the same source, and I think a new richness is going to come out of that when people realize that, because instead of this codependency or worship or idleness or anything that goes on like that, there'll be this deep loving respect and reverence both for yourself and others as source emanations, and the richness that will come from those co-created realities will be enormous. So yeah, that's another thing. And I say that because it's another aspect or quality for people going through deep doldrums right now and yucky stuff, to say that, don't see anybody else as, oh man, they've got this and they've got, no, you have it inside you as well. You're just going through a transitional process of purging. Just remember that. I think that's very important to understand.
Again, it's giving away to the external, whereas actually what we're
Mm.
stepping into, particularly from February onwards, is a much greater sense of spiritual sovereignty.
Yes, exactly. And when you start practicing that, you realize the true innate self-value starts to come forward, because a lot of people, I believe, and it goes way, way back many lifetimes, about the lack of self-worth. And my teams have said many times, and so I know we're probably running over time here, but they said one of the biggest issues with humanity is humanity's lack of self-worth. Now, people have tried to contrive all sorts of artificial things to give them worth, prestige, titles, money, whatever. There's a whole bunch of things, that people do. All of those are artificial and transitory. But when you connect with your higher self, if you just take 5 minutes, say, settle in, ask your higher self to put a cocoon around you that will accelerate the infusion and the synergy with your higher self and the connection with your higher self. You don't need to do anything. Let your higher self take the reins and do this for you. Just practicing that, just for 5 minutes a day, even when you just wake up in the morning, just for a minute, or before you go to bed is another good one. You'll start to feel the innate, natural, immovable self-value that's there. You don't need to invent it. You don't need to contrive it or create it. It is there. It is real. It is enduring. It's everlasting. And it will just keep getting greater and greater the more you do it. So that's another thing I would encourage people to do as well.
Yeah, since your recommendation on that, David, I do it every night before I fall asleep and every morning when I'm waking up, and it really does give a wonderful sense of connection, which becomes stronger by the day,
Mm,
I think.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what it's supposed to do. And each day, even though it might be a little bit at a time, because that's necessary, because too much in one go will bring too much stuff up. So it's a little dit in a way, just to give you time to stabilize and just allow what comes up to release, to make space for even more connection, more expansion. So yeah, and that's what I found in my life as well by doing that. And I just delight in seeing people do that, because they're getting in touch with their core self for sure.
Yeah, it's a beautiful community that you've created and continuing to create. So God bless you, David, for all that you share and all that you are. We're so grateful.
You're very welcome, and lots of love to you. You're a beautiful friend and a beautiful soul, and I thank you for for all that you do as well. You get so much information out to so many people, and such a powerful platform in what you do and the experience that you have. I just want to honor that as well. So thank you.
Bless you, David, and much love to everybody out there. But please do follow David's work. It's just out of out of the park. That's the best expression I find at the moment. So much love to everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as David and I have.
Definitely. Love to everyone. Bye
Bye for
bye.
now.